Are you ever called crazy? Yeah, I mean crazy. You know, in the last few months, I've been told, Steve, you are crazy. You know, I think about that. And I think, yeah, Steve, you might be a little on the crazy side. You know, so, and I'll tell you why I'm on the crazy side. Okay? And you're going to have to make a judgment call. I drove the big trucks. You know those big trucks, you know, that had splashed snow all over you or rain and blocked your view so you couldn't see down the road. They were driving in the wrong lane and, you know, you were in a hurry to get there and there was that truck, you know, or he was parked in the center of the road and didn't have any flashers on. And, you know, trucks do all kinds of weird things out there. Excuse me. So, after 23 years and 3 million miles, I decided to hang it up one day. And I came home and started living a civilian type life. Truck driving is kind of like military. You know, you're out there, total strangers every day. You're fighting, you're battling. We just didn't shoot each other. We didn't get blown up, but it was always a possibility. You know, it was, especially the years I drove hauled gasoline. You know, when you're driving down the road and you've got 10,200 gallons of gasoline sitting behind the back of you, right there, 10,200 gallons of gasoline. Do you know how many car loads, how far you could drive on one truckload? But it did cross my mind, you know? And especially when your stacks would blow fire out of them, or, you know, the engine would misfire or something. It didn't happen very often. It does happen. And you hope that all your tanks are sealed and, you know, there's no gas vapors coming out. Yeah, crazy. But it's been on my mind, something that was said to me many, many times. Steve, you need to write a book. My son one day says, Dad, Smokey and the Bandit has nothing over on you. And it's made me think, well, I'm not really a writer. I can talk probably a little better than I can write, and I'm not sure if the talking's great, so you can imagine how good my writing would be. But you know, I started all this before YouTube even existed, or Facebook. They didn't even exist. I had no place. If I took pictures, they would have gone nowhere. I would have had no place to put them. And so I go back a few years. But it's been on my mind not just a month or two or a year or 3 or 5 or 6 years or 10 years. It has been on my mind. And I've thought, I need to write my story. I need to write your story. A lot of stories out there. And that's what I'm doing right now. I am building a little bit at a time, some of the pieces, and I can't reproduce my stories. I can talk about it, but I can't I can't show you how holding a young man's head, the warm blood was running through my fingers. And there was a couple of 3 of us that came up on this accident. We was trying to keep him from dying, but the blue started coming through his body. And his face was turning blue, and we knew he wasn't getting oxygen, and we did not have the training to know really what to do, because he was not in good shape. And we were hundreds of miles from a doctor. He was out in Montana. Phones hadn't been invented. And we were doing everything we could. But you sit and watch the life drain out of a young man in his teens. He'd got thrown through a windshield, and I'm sure he didn't have seatbelts on because of that. But I can't reproduce that story. And second of all, I don't want to reproduce that story. Even if I'd had modern technology with the cameras that I've actually purchased, you know, quite a few good quality cameras to do this with. But I could not reproduce that story. And I thought, Steve, what can you do? How can you go about this? And I thought, I took a bunch of kind of photos, poor cameras, but I took some photos. And I thought, Steve, you've got to get back on the truck. That's right. Get back on the truck. And that is another whole nightmare in its own. Because nobody wants you. They say, I want you to prove that I've driven all those years. Well, that's kind of hard to prove. When you've had 3 of the main companies you drove for have all closed down. They've sold. They're older. They've sold. They've decided to go out of business. They've sold it to somebody else. And or just closed down, and somebody else moved to a total different part of the nation, and things like that you didn't want to follow with them. And they were good companies, maybe some of the best companies I'd ever driven for. So I don't even have references. But skimming through a bunch of my pictures, I'm posting these pictures. Here's I got to get my glasses off. Here's a picture of my truck. Okay. I'm going to post these so you can see. 520,348 miles. Is that proof? Is that proof enough? 540,000 miles, what I put on that truck. How about another picture here? I was a little different. Now these are going to be posted. You can't see it from there, but the roll-up curtain behind you so you can go back in your bunk. I took them down. I put curtains up. You have to have curtains, okay? Some other things. I run into this little guy. He was my co-pilot, okay? You'll be able to see it. He was my co-pilot. And I named him Bill. You're going to see these videos right now while I'm talking. I named him Bill. He was kind of looked like a Pink Panther, a Pink Panther stuffed. And I'm going to guess he was 4 feet tall. I keep looking down at my picture here. I think he was like 4 feet tall. But he was tall enough to sit in my jump seat. And Bill would do all kinds of stuff to the public. In fact, we had quite a go-around with a highway patrolman one night. It was so funny, I had to literally keep from laughing my head off. It was funny. Because the highway patrolman thought Bill was a real person. I had him all dressed up. He had his hat on, his dark glasses, and his shirt, and his pants, and I just loved it. I had this clear fishing line. I had put his arm up in the window, and I had a line hooked up over the window and back down here beside me, and I could just reach down, and Bill would wave to everybody. As we'd pass, he'd wave to people. And I remember one school bus loaded with kids. This was during the day, loaded with kids. I saw all these. I was passing this school bus, and I thought, this is a great opportunity. Here's all these kids in this school bus. So I reached down and started pulling the line, and Bill started waving at all these kids. Well, the next thing I knew, the bus started shifting. I mean it. This is not a story. This is real. This truck started shifting because all the kids went from one side clear over to the other side to watch Bill wave. That kind of scared me, first of all. I was hoping the bus didn't roll over. But that's some of the fun things I did. And then, of course, I'm just putting some of these because I'm going to make full stories out of these. My wife and I, and that's a whole nother story, my wife and I, but we had our puppy dogs, okay? You're looking at all these pictures right now. I got Rosie here, and you're going to be seeing Rosie. Rosie's rode on the dash of our truck, and she had her own pillow, and she loved riding on the dash. She's a little miniature Chihuahua. And then, of course, pictures my wife probably don't even know I have. And I'm going to post them, and she'll probably kill me. So if you see blood all over the camera, that's me. Because I got some pictures here of my wife sleeping in the bunk with her puppy dogs. She turned out to be an excellent driver. Actually, she put about 250,000 miles on her. And that wasn't part of my 3 million. And here's Bill. Bill went over and decided to, one night, check out other truck drivers. So he would go over and stand on the running boards and stand up there and look up, hang onto the rail, and talk to truck drivers. It was hilarious. And the drivers talked to him. That's what was even funnier. But there's a lot of good times we had out there on the road, not just work. In fact, work was kind of a small part of it. Anyway, this is kind of an introduction, and I'm going to be building a lot of these stories, a lot. And then when I hit the road, I'm going to build more stories. And I'm going to build your stories. And I want to hear from you. I want to hear your stories. Okay? Contact me at steve@sundogfilmproductions.com. It's right here on the screen in front of you. And tell me some of your stories, or briefly, I'd love to come out and film your story. Because we can do that today. And get it out here on the internet so the world can see your story. Anyway, I'm Steve Allen, and I'll be back. Some of you know me as the country boy, but I'll be back really soon. And remember to keep the shiny side up. How many of you know really what that means? Okay. Send me an email and tell me what you know about keeping the shiny side up. I'm Steve Allen, and you have a beautiful day. And if you're out there in one of those trucks, drive careful. We're going into winter. It's not the best time of the year. People ask, why are you starting out in the winter? I don't know, just because I'm stupid, I guess. I don't know. I'm crazy. Okay, who would start out in the middle of the winter and, you know, chains, and in fact, Bill chained up a few times. Yeah. Hope you have a great day. I'm gone, and have a beautiful, beautiful day. The world is way too short. Your life is too short to sit back and watch TV all day. Or even work in those cubicles many years working in. Anyway, I'm gone. I'll see you again later. Bye.